Most engineers think that longer, more detailed sentences make them sound more professional in meetings. But the engineers who actually get promoted, they speak in short, sharp sentences. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why and how to do it. In this video, I'm going to share 4 practical tips with you. Tips that you can use immediately in your very next meeting. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will know exactly what to do, whether you are the one that is speaking or the one that is trying to follow a fast-talking colleague. So, before we talk about the fix, let's talk about why this happens. If you are building long sentences in meetings, it's not because you are a bad communicator. There are 3 specific reasons why engineers do this. And once you understand them, everything becomes so much more clearer. The first reason is hedging. If you are not 100% confident about what you are saying, your brain tries to protect you. It adds extra words, extra conditions, extra qualifications, all inside one single sentence. Here's an example. Listen carefully. The reason the pump is failing might possibly be related to what could be a pressure fluctuation issue that we have seen periodically over the last few weeks, although we have not fully confirmed this. That is one sentence, but it has 7 ideas inside it. And the person listening, especially if English is not their first language, they lost you after the 3rd idea, possibly. Now listen to the short version. The pump may be failing. The likely cause is pressure fluctuation. We have seen this for several weeks. We have not confirmed it yet. 4 sentences, 4 ideas. Clear, confident, easy to follow. And here's the interesting part. The short version sounds more confident, even though the information is exactly the same. When you hedge inside a long sentence, you sound unsure. When you state each idea clearly and separately, you sound more in control. The second reason is translation. When you think in your first language, whether that is Spanish, Arabic, Mandarin, Portuguese, or Hindi, you often carry the sentence structure of your L1 with you. L1 is the short form for your first language. Many languages use longer, connected sentences. They link many ideas together with connectors before they get to the main point. This is completely natural. It's how your brain works. But in English, especially in professional meetings, the expectation is the total opposite. Main point first, short, then the explanation, then the detail. So when you translate your thought pattern directly, your English sentence becomes very long because you are following the logic of your first language, not English. The fix is not to stop thinking in your language. The fix is to learn how to break the translation into pieces before you start speaking. The third reason, and this one is the most important because it's that many ESL engineering professionals believe that using long, complex sentences makes them sound more intelligent, more technical, and more credible. I understand why. In academic writing, in university projects, in technical papers, longer sentences with technical vocabulary are often rewarded. So your brain has learned more complex language equals more professional. But a meeting is not a report. A meeting is real time. It's live. The person listening to you cannot pause you, cannot reread what you just said. They have one chance to understand you as you speak. And if they miss it, they will not always ask you to repeat, especially in a cross-cultural team. They will nod and they will move on. And your point, however good it was, will be lost. So short sentences are not a sign of lower intelligence. They are a sign of clarity. And in a meeting room, clarity is power. Do you recall that I promised you valuable speaking tips during the course of this video? Here is your tip number 1, the preparation tip. Before your next meeting, take your 3 most important points and write each one out in a sentence. One total idea that includes all 3 points that you want to make. Read them out loud. If you run out of breath before the sentence ends, it is too long. Break it. Now let's talk about what long sentences actually cost you in a meeting, because this is not just about communication styles. This has real consequences for your career. Cost number 1, your idea gets lost. You spend 30 seconds explaining something important, but because the sentence was too long, the team only caught half of it. The meeting moves forward. Your suggestion is never discussed. You will then automatically feel invisible. Here is tip number 2, the in-meeting recovery tip. If you catch yourself mid-sentence and realize that it is getting too long, stop. Say the following: let me rephrase that. Then restart with a shorter sentence. Remember, nobody judges the restart. Everyone appreciates the clarity. Cost number 2, you lose the flow. In fast-moving meetings, when you speak in long sentences, someone else interrupts before you finish. Not because they are rude, but because they think that you have finished, or they cannot follow where you are going. Short sentences are faster to deliver. They are harder to interrupt. Cost number 3, your credibility drops. Not because of your accent, not because of your vocabulary, but because confusion reads as uncertainty. When the listener struggles to follow you, they unconsciously question your confidence, even if your technical knowledge is outstanding. These are expensive mistakes. Don't you agree? And all 3 of them are fixed by one habit: short sentences. Now, I want to talk to those of you who are not the speaker in the meeting. You are the listener, and your native English-speaking colleague or your manager is speaking in very long, very fast, very connected sentences. This is real. This happens every day, and it is absolutely exhausting. Here is what I want you to know. When a native speaker uses long sentences, it is usually not to confuse you. They often do not realize that they are doing that. So it is simply how they think out loud. So what can you do? First, do not try to understand every single word. This is critical. Your brain will freeze if you try to catch everything. Instead, listen for the key nouns and verbs, the action and the subject. That will give you the core meaning, even if you miss the surrounding words. Let's talk about tip number 3 here, the listener tip. Keep a notepad open in every meeting, whether it is virtual or face-to-face. Write down only the key noun and the key verb from each point that you hear. 2 words. This is your anchor. Everything else builds around those 2 words. Practical, immediate, and works across all languages and meeting types. Second, use a clarifying sentence after they finish speaking. One short sentence. For example, just to confirm, you are saying that we need to delay the test by 2 weeks? That is it. Short and clear. It checks your understanding, it shows that you are engaged, and it gives the speaker a chance to correct any misunderstanding before the meeting moves forward. Third, ask for one idea at a time. You can say, can you break that into steps for me? I want to make sure that I follow you correctly. This is not a weakness. This is professional communication management. And most speakers, when asked, will slow down and separate their ideas. So how do you build this habit? I want to give you a simple rule that you can start using in your very next meeting. One idea, one sentence. That is the rule. Every sentence you speak in a meeting should carry only one idea. Let me show you how this works in a real engineering example. Here's the long version. We completed the structural analysis last week, and the results show that the load-bearing capacity is lower than expected, which means that we may need to redesign the support columns before we can proceed with phase 2 of the project. That is one sentence. Count the ideas. Completed analysis. Results show lower capacity. May need to redesign. Cannot proceed until redesign. 4 ideas in one sentence. Now that is extremely difficult to follow. Now let's look at one idea, one sentence. We completed the structural analysis last week. The results show lower than expected load-bearing capacity. We may need to redesign the support columns. We cannot move to phase 2 until this is confirmed. 4 sentences, 4 ideas. The listener can process each one before the next one arrives. Nobody gets lost, and your point lands completely. Now, I can already hear some of you thinking, but if I speak in short sentences, won't I sound choppy, robotic, like a list? This is a great question, and the answer is no. Not if you use connecting words correctly. Connecting words are bridges between short sentences. They show the relationship between your ideas. They make your speaking flow without making your sentences long and complicated. Here are 3 of the most useful ones for your engineering meetings. First, because of this. Use it to show cause and effect. Here's a sentence for you. The valve pressure dropped. Because of this, we stopped the test. Second, as a result. Same purpose, slightly more formal. The software update failed. As a result, we lost 4 hours of data. The third, however. Use it to introduce a contrast or a complication. Here's an example. The initial test passed. However, the field results were different. These 3 connectors alone will make your short sentences flow naturally. They carry the listener from one idea to the next smoothly without forcing you back into long, tangled sentences. I will do a full dedicated video on connecting words and phrases very soon. But for now, these 3 are enough to start you off with. And here's our final 4th tip, the daily practice tip. You do not need a meeting to practice this. Take any email you wrote today. Find your longest sentence in that email. Break it into 2 or 3 short sentences. Read both versions out loud. You will immediately hear the difference. Do this once a day for 2 weeks, and your meeting communication will change noticeably. A lot of the confusion that we've talked about today doesn't only come from sentence length. It also comes from idioms, the expressions your colleagues use in meetings that don't translate directly. Phrases like let's circle back or that's a moving target. If you've ever nodded in a meeting without actually understanding what someone meant, this is for you. I've put together a mini course called Idioms in Action, the top 50 business idioms for engineers and executives. I walk you through each idiom personally with 3 example sentences so you understand exactly how and when to use it. To help you stop getting confused in meetings and start feeling fluent and professional right away. It's linked in the description below, and when you get it, you'll also receive a free, highly relevant and valuable bonus training as a thank you. Okay, so now it's time to wrap up. The engineers who communicate most powerfully in meetings are not the ones with the biggest vocabulary. They are the ones who are the clearest. And clarity starts with one habit, short sentences, one idea at a time. Start in your next meeting. Pick one moment, just one, where you would normally use a long sentence. break it into two. That is your practice for today. You've got this. I believe in you. If this helped you, my soon-to-be dropped video goes deep on connecting words and phrases for engineering meetings. The exact bridge that makes short sentences flow like a pro. Hit subscribe and don't forget to ring the bell to be notified when a new video drops. Please like, comment, and share to help me help the YouTube algorithm find my global engineering niche. And on that note, I'm Bash from Bash Technical and Meeting English, and I sincerely appreciate the time that you have spent with me. Cheerio!